This is how you build a DeepSeek AI agent in n8n. Here is the chat interface that we use to actually speak to the agent, and I've asked it, can you book an event for me in my calendar for the next week, Saturday, 5 p.m, and also send an email to Yash to invite him to a table tennis match on Saturday at 5 p.m. as well. So we'll send this through. This will first go to the DeepSeek planning agent, which is connected up to DeepSeek chat, the R1 model. So what this DeepSeek planning agent is going to do is it's going to meticulously go and plan exactly how this AI agent should go and complete this task. It's going to go over every single step. So for example, get a calendar invite, send an email, exactly like a human would think about, okay, here's a task. What steps do I have to do to go and complete this task? But essentially this DeepSeek planning agent is going to come up with a plan, and that's going to go to the tools agent over here. And this tools agent is going to go and execute that plan using all the different tools we've connected up to it. Okay, so now the automation's been run successfully. DeepSeek planning agent went and gave a plan to the tools agent. And then the tools agent went into my contacts database, right over here. Let me scroll into my contacts database, found Yash's email. It went all the way back to Google Calendar. It added a meeting into my diary and also went and sent Yash a Gmail email to say, come to our table tennis match. Let's have a look at the results, right? So if I pop over to my calendar over here, you can see table tennis with Yash right over here from 5 to 6 p.m. And it says, hi Yash, would you like to join us for a table tennis match this Saturday at 5 p.m? The event has been added to your calendar. Let me know if you need to make any adjustments. So this is exactly how this AI agent works. You just enter in a simple prompt of exactly what you want the AI agent to do, and DeepSeek will go and plan everything out for you. And then this tool agent connected will go and complete the actions. So if you're familiar with actually building agents in n8n, you might be thinking, why on earth do you have two agents connected to each other? Why don't you just replace this OpenAI GPT-4o model over here with this DeepSeek chat model? And I had the same thought, and I went and did that first, right? So let's go through all the different iterations I went through when trying to build a really cool reasoning AI automation. So the first one I did was exactly what you thought. Why don't we go create the model as a DeepSeek chat model over here and avoid having a planning agent altogether? Well, the reason it didn't work is essentially because DeepSeek has some sort of bug with n8n tools, and essentially it creates an infinite loop. And that's why this agent over here is called loopity loop loop, because if you go and tell it to put a calendar invite into your diary, you will end up with about a gazillion calendar invites into your diary, and that is not super useful. So that's why this was my first try, but it ended up looping 100 different times. So that was the first problem I faced. And this is super useful when you're building out AI automations, right? Because you're always going to face problems. You've just got to think creatively in a way to solve them. And if you have a basic understanding of how all the tools work, then you can go and integrate it a different way, exactly like how I did here, where I have a planning agent and then a simple tools agent. So that was the first problem we had. When I connected DeepSeek right over here, it was constantly, looping. Okay, so we can't integrate DeepSeek directly into our AI agent. So why not just use OpenAI instead, right? OpenAI have their own reasoning model, o1. Why not just use that? Well, the main reason we can't use that, and you probably already know this, is because of price. Well, OpenAI o1 is very expensive versus DeepSeek. So if you're using this automation continuously, DeepSeek's a way more cheaper alternative. So let's actually go into the pricing, right? So DeepSeek with a 1 million tokens input is 55 cents, and a 1 million token output is $2.19. If you go through on my channel, you'll find a how to implement ChatGPT into make.com. And over there, I explain exactly what a million tokens means, exactly what the pricing is. So that video has a lot of the details on how all of this pricing works. But just for reference, if I look at exactly what OpenAI o1's model is, their input is $15 per million tokens, and the output is $60 per million tokens. So DeepSeek is actually something like 37 times cheaper than OpenAI for a reasoning model. So if you're going to use this, say you spend $100 on DeepSeek, that's going to be like $3,700 on OpenAI o1. The price difference is massive. So if you're planning to use like a reasoning model every single day and you want to use it for your agents because you want to make them that much more advanced, then you probably want to use DeepSeek instead of o1 just to save on a bit of cost. And as you can imagine, I tried that anyways. So I connected up OpenAI o1 into our tools agent, and then I connected up with a few tools, and it was amazing. It worked so well. It came up with a really structured plan on exactly how to use all of these tools. And essentially that's what I did, but it was basically breaking the bank. So that's why this final agent over here was created. It's our DeepSeek integration, and it's much cheaper than the expensive one over here. And this was the solution we came up with to make sure that, we can use the planning agent with the tools agent together. And the tools agent over here uses OpenAI GPT-4o Mini, which is a super cheap OpenAI module, which works really well with all these different tools. Okay, so now that you understand why this automation is set up in this way, and you also understand why we're using DeepSeek over any other large language model, I'm going to show you exactly how you can build this and how you can integrate DeepSeek into whatever your use case might look like. First step is obviously to have a trigger. I've just got a basic chat message trigger over here, so we can talk to the AI agent just in the bottom left corner over here. And then we've got the planning agent. So this planning, before I skip steps, how you can integrate this when a chat message received is you click on the right section over here, and then you click on chat, and then you just click on chat trigger, and this will, you can essentially connect that up. Okay, and then we have the DeepSeek planning agent. Now, how is this set up? So this is set up again by typing in AI agent over here, and you can basically create an AI agent just like this one. If I click on this, AI agent, and we go and set this up over here. And it's a tools agent, and everything over here is all set up. Brilliant. Now if you click back to canvas, it should pop up with something like this over here. There we go, I created two by accident. Let's click on delete this. Perfect. So this is exactly what it should look like. It looks exactly like this one. And then you want to click on chat model and click on this plus icon over here, and then click on DeepSeek, and you want to connect up the DeepSeek chat model to the AI agent. And I've already got an account. I've already got an account over here, Yash's DeepSeek account. But if you don't have one, then you're going to need to click on this, and essentially it's going to ask you for an API key, and you're going to need to go and add an API key into here, and I'm going to show you exactly how you can go and do that. So the steps to get this DeepSeek API key are really easy. So you just type in DeepSeek into Google, and then you should see www.deepseek.com. If you click on that, then you can see you come to this web page over here. And if you just click on the API platform on the top right, it will prompt you to log in and essentially go through a bit of rigmarole that's not super complicated. And then you need to add a couple of dollars into DeepSeek. So DeepSeek's super cheap, like crazily cheap. So I've only added $2, and I've been testing out this automation, trying to build it and make it all work. And I've used DeepSeek quite extensively. Like I've made 15 reasoner requests and about 34 normal requests. And as you can see, I've used about 6 cents worth of actual tokens and amounts of money basically. So if you just add $2, that's plenty to go and test and get your automation up and running. So first thing is to go to add a bit of cash into DeepSeek, and then you can go to API keys. You can go create a new API key and copy it. I've titled mine n8n because that's what it's connected up to. You can title it whatever you want. Go to create a new API key and essentially just name it, and then create an API key and copy that API key. So once you've actually got a copy of that API key, you want to return back to your n8n automation. And then let me just show you. You go to create a credential with an account, and then you just go and paste the API key into here, and then you just click save. I'm not going to click save because I've already done it. And essentially this will allow you to create a credential exactly like this one. Then the key next step after this is we don't want to use the chat module, right? We've got OpenAI that have some pretty good chat modules. We want to use the reasoner module because O1's super expensive and DeepSeek is quite cheap. So we want to switch this model over to DeepSeek reasoner, right? And that's exactly what I've done over here. That's how this is set up. Okay, so now that we've got this planning agent hooked up to DeepSeek, and that's the model it's connected to, we also need to give it a prompt, right? Because we need to tell it what it needs to do and exactly how to fulfill the tasks, and what to give the tools agent to allow it to go and do its job accurately. So if we go over here to the DeepSeek planning agent, I can show you the exact prompt I have. So the first thing is the user message. This is just the chat input that we're going to type in. That's essentially how this is set up. And then we have a big system message over here set up as an expression. And this is the exact prompt that I've used to get some really good outputs out of DeepSeek. And this allows our tools agent to, come up with it allows the tools agent to execute some really complicated requests that we can make within our chat, essentially. Because what DeepSeek is going to do is it's going to use its reasoning capabilities and its thinking capabilities, which is far superior to like using 4.0 mini, and actually think about what steps it should use and then passing that to the tools agent, which is why this automation is super cool. The first thing is the agent purpose. So we need to make sure the agent understands exactly what it's going to do. So we want to make sure it's a strategic planning assistant that breaks down user requests into clear executable steps. It also bridges the gap between user intentions and the tool's agent execution capabilities by creating actionable task plans. This essentially just, explains to the agent why it exists, what it is. If this was something different, like you are a customer assistant for a fitness page, this can be anything that you're actually using the DeepSeek agent for. For me, I'm using it as a planning assistant, and that's kind of what DeepSeek thrives at. And then we also want to give it some operational context. By the way, this is like a general template on how you should prompt AI agents. So this is like a really standard template that really yields good result. So just having agent purpose and an operational context and all the rest of the headers over here. So works as the first layer in a 2-agent system. So we have planning and then tools agent. The output will be directly sent to a tools agent with access to Google Calendar, Gmail, SERP API, Notion, basically outlining all the tools we're going to connect this up to. You can change the tools. I've just got it connected to these ones. You can obviously change those. It must create plans for immediate execution without waiting periods. So the reason for this is initially when I tested out this model, the plan would come up with messaging the marketing team about an event that we're going to host on next Saturday, and then wait for their response and then create actions based on their response. But if you've ever worked with n8n agents, essentially, you're not really looking and waiting for responses. You're kind of doing actions in a sequential step that's happening immediately. So therefore, I removed essentially, I'm just telling it that it needs to create immediate execution without any waiting periods. We're not getting back to the agent. The agent just got to go and do everything in one go. The tools agent will follow instructions exactly as provided without seeking clarification. So there's no cross communication between the planning agent and the tools agent. You're going to give the plan and the tools agent is going to execute that. You're not going to be able to get any feedback back. Is essentially what I'm saying here. The task analysis and decomposition into logical sequential steps. This is just make sure the task is really detailed and separate. We also want to create immediately executable instructions without dependencies on external responses. We want the tool selection appropriate to each step, and we want to balance comprehensive guidance with concise direction. So we want to begin with a 1 to 2 sentence task summary. This is in the output requirement. We want to provide a numbered list of specific actionable steps. We want to mark appropriate tool for each step, keep instructions clear and unambiguous, and balance detail with brevity according to the task's complexity. Right? And I've given it some examples. So essentially, like if we want to schedule a team meeting and notify everyone, it will go to Google Sheets and access the context database to retrieve all the team members. It will go and create a new event titled team meeting, schedule a meeting for tomorrow at 2 p.m. for 45 minutes, add member emails to attendees, and also send a Slack message in the team channel. For example, right? It can go and do all of this tasks. And of course there is another example, and then we also have specific considerations which are super important. So the main one is design, and some of them are design all steps for immediate execution, just like before. Consider available steps. So if I'm giving it a prompt like, send a message to someone, consider if that is like Slack or something. Like it shouldn't say Teams, it should say Slack, because Slack is one of the tools we've mentioned earlier, and that's typically associated with messages. Include today's date when creating time-sensitive plans. So I've set the date as now, which you can see over here is just a date time filter. I recommend having this in every single agent you build, especially if it's connected up to a calendar, just so it knows when now. So if you're saying set a meeting for next Saturday, it knows exactly when to set that meeting. Utilize Google Sheets contacts database for retrieving. So if I say send a meeting invite to Yash, then it should go into the database and check who Yash is and what his email is, for example. Avoid creating plans requiring user intervention, and also maintain context awareness when sequencing steps. So for example, if I say, send an email and book an invite going to a restaurant in London, then it should find the restaurant first and then go and book the meeting invite and stuff to let everyone know that, this is the restaurant we picked. So it shouldn't go in the order of what I say in my message. It should go in the order of what it thinks is the most logical. Okay, so now that we've got DeepSeek actually coming up with an amazing plan on how to execute the steps we put into chat, we also want a tools agent to go and actually execute what DeepSeek's planning, right? This is built up just like a normal agent. If you've built out n8n agents before, you should know exactly how to set this side of the automation up. But just in case you're new to this, I'm going to explain how to do it. So the tools agent is essentially prompted like this. Actually, let's go first. So we've connected up to the chat model, which is GPT-4o Mini. You need an OpenAI account to connect this up. You should probably already have an OpenAI account with an API key, but it's exactly the same as how we set up DeepSeek. Just go to OpenAI API on the internet, create an account, get an API key, put a bit of money into it, and essentially set this all up. I have an in-depth video on my YouTube and TikTok channel called How to Connect OpenAI to Make.com. The steps are pretty much the same on n8n as they are on Make.com, just different platform. So you can watch that video if you're unsure on how to do this. So awesome. So now that you've connected up your 4o Mini to this tools agent over here, this is exactly how we've prompted the tools agent. So one of the key things here is to make sure the text is the JSON output from the DeepSeek planning agent. So you just need to drag this thing over here into here. I'm not going to do it because I've already done it, but essentially this will grab the output from the DeepSeek planning agent, and this will be the text, which is the plan for what the tools agent should go and actually do, right? And then this is the system message for the tools agent. So again, it's formatted in the exact same way, which in my opinion, is one of the best formats for setting up these n8n agents. Is an agent purpose is an execution agent that carries out specific tasks during using available digital tools. It implements the task plans which are created by the planning agent to achieve user requested outcomes. So it works as a second layer in a 2-agent system, receives step-by-step instructions from the planning agent, has access to 5 specific tools, and then we give it exactly what tools and what the capabilities of the tools are. This is super important for the tools agent because it needs to know exactly what each tool does, right? So we have the Google Calendar, Gmail, SERP API, Notion, Slack, Google Sheets, and I'm sure you guys know exactly what these tools do. Some of the more uncommon one is SERP API, which is like performing web searches. So for example, if I say, find me the best table tennis arena in London, it will go and find that for me, essentially. And then we have Notion, Slack, which is like sending messages similar to Microsoft Teams, essentially. And Google Sheets, which is our database. So if you can't find the contact, look in Google Sheets. And of course, output requirements begin with the confirmation of the task being executed, document each step as it's completed, include relevant details from tool operations, report any errors, and conclude with a summary of all completed actions. And lastly, just I do with every single agent, even though it's already got the time before, we wanted to give it the current date now as the time, and you can see it's giving it to it properly on the section over here. One more thing I did not mention to you is essentially system message, always set it as an expression. So this way the now date and time works. If you set it as fixed, this won't work. So that's how this is prompted essentially. And then what we've done is we've gone and connected it up to a bunch of tools. Connecting tools to n8n is pretty much a breeze, especially with this new feature that they released, which is like you can have AI establish like when they should start the Google Calendar, end the Google Calendar, the description and the summary of the actual event. It's super, super easy, right, to go and set all of this stuff up. You just kind of let the AI define a lot of this unless you have like specific queries and stuff you need to set each tool to, but it's super easy to set all of these tools up. I'm not going to go one by one on how to set up each one of these tools because there are many other YouTube videos that do that. The main purpose of this was just to show you how you can connect DeepSeek up to your tools agent. I am going to be creating numerous videos where I show you exactly how to set up all these different tools, so stick around for those. But this is essentially the main core structure of how you can integrate a reasoning model into your agent at a good, effective, low cost using DeepSeek, which is super, super interesting. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, I'd really appreciate it if you could interact with it. It helps out a ton. And I hope you learned something. You learned how to connect DeepSeek into your n8n agent. Thank you so much. And I'll see you guys in the next one.